We can talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We can talk about Bruno. Lorcana's fourth set has been announced. Ursula's return. That's right, it's been hinted at for a while now with the seaweed and whatnot. But the big baddie of Lorcana's first block is Ursula. She's causing problems and being a general menace, and now we need to put her down, like Old Yeller. Along with this, Ravensburger has announced a co-op version, an intro version, and an official competitive circuit. But I know you're all here to look at cards, so let's start with those. Now, of course, there's vanillas still, so let's look at them. We got Daisy Duck, lovely lady, the 1/3/1 lore for 1 we always knew Amber would eventually get. And Felix Madrigal, a clone of Piglet, very small animal, except with the Madrigal tag, which is actually important because we get Mirabel Madrigal, a 3/5/2 lore for 5 uninkable with support, and when she quests, your other Madrigals get +1 lore pip. So that seems like a pretty dope ability if you're able to get out Madrigals on curve, and it's looking like the whole family will be joining us. We also get Mirabel's mom, Julieta, a 1/4/1 lore for 3 with when she's played you may heal a character for 2, and if you do, draw a card. So a little mini Rapunzel that doesn't cost 30 real world dollars. Nice! The family sprawls over into Amethyst, where we have Bruno, a 4/5/1 lore for 5, uninkable, and when he's played, you choose a character, they can go back to your hand when they're banished in a challenge this turn. That's a nice effect to give, and honestly I kind of want to try this with Madame Mim Ravel of Merlin, as that's a little easier to set up than Agent Provocateur. We also get Dolores, a 3/3/2 lore for 4, with when she's played, if there's an exerted enemy, draw a card. So this is very good, and I can see this going into most Amethyst decks, honestly. Most of the time your opponent is going to have an exerted character on the board, and Amethyst has a lot of ways to force that if they don't. And she has a very good body afterwards. 2 lore is just so much better than 1. The last Madrigal is Luisa, who is a color-shifted Mulan soldier in training. She'll probably only see play in a Madrigal tribal deck, except in draft where she will be quite good. But there's even more Amethyst. We got our titular villain, Ursula, Sea Witch Queen. I do wish Lorcana would stop giving characters similar subtitles, who is a 4/7/3 lore Floodborn for 7, shift 5 with when she quests, exert a character, and other characters cannot sing. I've been waiting for an effect like that, though I would have preferred if it were a color other than Amethyst. Note that this only prevents singing. You can still hardcast songs. I think Ursula's going to see a lot of play, particularly if she can get a good in-color shift target, because Sea Witch ain't the best. The final new Amethyst character is Yen Sid, powerful sorcerer, a 1/3/1 lore for 2 with when he's played, if you have a broom in play, you may draw a card, and if you have 2 brooms in play, he gets 2 extra lore pips. That's pretty nutty, especially if we get a 1-cost broom, which I think is pretty likely. To round out this ink color, we get the only item revealed so far, Triton's Trident, a 2-coster that you can banish to give a character +1 strength this turn for each card in your hand. This seems mainly useful as a way to get rid of locations, though if folks start running a lot of high willpower characters, this might also be good as a way to trade up. Emerald has no reveals, but over in Ruby we got to see Goofy, Super Goof, a 2/4/1 lore for 4 with Rush, and when he challenges gain 2 lore. So just when he challenges, he doesn't even need to banish the target. This is basically GOAT but in Ruby, because again, opponents will usually have an exerted character on board, particularly by turn 4. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you don't get this from challenging locations, which could encourage more location play. Still, strong card. The other new Ruby is Mulan, Elite Archer, a 2/6/2 lore Floodborn for 6 with shift 5, and when she's played, if she was shifted, she gets +3 strength, and when she damages a character in challenge, she deals that much damage to up to 2 other characters. Now, the way that's worded is a little fuzzy, but I'm guessing you can't just chain reaction that by claiming the other 2 were damaged in a challenge so you trigger it again. Still, with a good shift target, throwing out 5 damage each to 3 characters on turn 5 is very nice, and I think Elite Archer will absolutely see play. In Sapphire, we get some more Frozen rep with Anna Braving the Storm, a 1/4/1 lore for 2 with if you have another hero in play +1 lore pip. That's very good, as she already has a vanilla stat line with 1 lore. You just need a hero 3-drop and you're golden. Not a hero is Hans, Noble Scoundrel, a 3/2/2 lore for 3 with when you play him, if there is a princess or queen in play, gain 1 lore. Note that it doesn't have to be your princess or queen, but if anyone has one in play. What's interesting is Anna helps Hans trigger, but Hans doesn't help Anna trigger, which seems fitting. The last new Sapphire card is Rapunzel, Appreciative Artist, a 3/5/3 lore for 5 with if you have a Pascal in play, she gets Ward. So she's just under vanilla stat line, and throwing Ward on her is very good. I'm hoping we get another Pascal in this set just to help this happen more reliably. Over in Steel, Ariel finally gets a Floodborn, Sonic Warrior, a 3/8/2 lore for 6 with Shift 4, and when you play a song, you may pay 2 to deal 3 damage to a character. This is nutty, and I can see this slotting right into the Steel song deck since she can shift onto Spectacular Singer. The one issue is if you play her on curve, you can't use her ability right away. We also got the other Steel Floodborn, Mickey Mouse, Playful Sorcerer, a 3/4/2 lore for 5 with Shift 3, Resist +1, and when he's played, deal damage equal to the number of brooms you have. So honestly, I don't think you even want to shift him. Playing him on turn 5 means you have built up a board of brooms, and he'll do a meaningful amount of damage on entry. His stats also seem pretty fair for a resist character, entry damage aside. I'm calling it, y'all. The broom deck will actually happen this set. The support is finally here. We also got a look at the 2 starter decks, which are back to Amber Amethyst and Sapphire Steel. The Amberthyst one is Oops All Madrigals, which seems to be the first fully themed starter deck we've gotten. Now, while we can see that the Sapphire Steel deck is headed by Floodborn Anna and Storyborn Hercules, they didn't actually reveal those cards, which is a little frustrating. We can also see from the pack art that we'll be getting a Ruby Sisu, and there's a Ruby Beast on the side of the Illumineer's Trove. Still no sign of anything Emerald, which is a little weird. Instead of a gift set for Ursula's return, we're getting Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble, a co-op variant of Lorcana. Ursula has her own deck of cards, and you and possibly your friends, if you have them, will cooperatively try to take her down. The box contains 2 pre-constructed decks, including 2 legendaries, an Elite Archer and Yen Sid, but apparently you can use any normal constructed deck to face off against the boss. There's also some sort of prize pack for when you beat the game, whose contents are currently a secret. I do like the idea of a co-op version, and it's looking like they're leaving room to do this with different bosses farther down the road. Finally, they also announced the Lorcana Challenge, which will be how they pick entrants for the regional and world championships, and there's also some alt art promos with special foiling you can get depending on how well you do. Now, given that the release of Ursula's Return is about 2 months away, I don't expect there to be that much more in the near future with regards to reveals, though they did also announce that we'd be getting a complete rules document sometime this week, so be on the lookout for that.